Ever had this nasty line chart problem where you see a terrible drop off like this? It's horribly unsightly. And of course, you can't do things this way. So, what you've likely ended up doing is going in and amending the range to exclude all the zeros, and there we go. Now that looks okay. The problem with this is this chart's become static now. If I come in next month and I add a new value, let's add say 90,000, you'll see nothing's changed here. I've got to go manually update this range. There we go. That's come in. So heaven forbid you forget to update. That's even more embarrassing. And this can, of course, become an issue if you've got a lot of charts to update. So I'm going to show you two go-to methods I use to solve every single version of this problem. There are other methods to solve this problem, but they tend to be quite cumbersome. So not only do you have to do a few charts, it's also quite difficult to solve this little annoying problem. So let's return to our original problem. I'm going to expand the range to include even these zeros and include our drop-off problem. So my first solution is a very simple one to go check the settings of this chart. The problem arises because of funny default settings. If you click on the chart, go to Chart Design, select Data. There's a tab here called Hidden and Empty Cells. That's our problem, isn't it? Let's click on that, and you'll see if it's set to 0, it does this. There's another option, Gaps. Let's select Gaps and go OK, and then we press, there we go. Problem solved. So this is quite a nice, easy go-to solution. Could be as simple as that for you and your problem solved. But the problem kicks in. This problem's unfortunately got a secondary nature as well. This only works if there's true blanks in here. If I put any value in here, let me put 0, my problem's right back to square one. And you can check, of course, let's go back to our settings and check. This is now set to gaps, and the line chart still drops off. So this is why sometimes you come in and delete the cells and fix the settings, and it's fine for a while, and you maybe look up values or something like that, and then this problem comes back. So here comes my second go-to method, which is also equally simple. So firstly, just before I dive into the solution, this works for anything, not just zeros. If there's even, for example, a space, let me put a space in here and go Control Enter. The problem still remains. If it's text or a zero or anything to that effect, it drops off, even with the gap set. So Excel's got a very interesting feature in that it doesn't display error values. So I'm going to put an error value in here. You'll see that value's already gone. And if I put all of them in, my problem's solved. That's my second easy go-to solution. So however you're retrieving your values, whenever it's 0 or doesn't have a value, simply put an error value and it won't display the drop-off. And there's your problem solved. And I can come in and I can add the 90,000 again. And there we go, updates, and there's no problem. Looks great. The problem is when you look at the display data, having NAs or error values displayed looks quite unsightly. So what we want to do is get a solution where we can hide the values but not delete them. And conditional formatting is the ideal solution here. So let's select this range, and then we go to conditional formatting, which will be home, conditional formatting. We put in a new rule, and we're going to use a formula. So we simply go, if it is an A, we will write in C3 the top cell of the selected range. We put in a format. We simply go to the font color, make the font color equal to the background color, click OK, and there you go. No longer visible. And if you click on the range, it looks almost like when we had true blanks there. So that also works nice. Now, there's only one additional slight problem to this error values, and is if I try to sum this column, for example, or do any calculation on it, it's gonna show me an error value because there are errors hidden in here. So the simple solution to this is simply use the function if na, then put in a 0. It's a simple built-in condition, and then that'll sum that for you. So one has just got to be aware of that in the formulas. So, summary. My two go-to solutions for this horrible chart drop-off problem. It's very simply to check the settings. Make sure that it's set up for gaps and not zeros in the case of blank and hidden cells. If that doesn't work, simply proceed to add is NA or NA errors in the case of these blank gap cells. And that should solve almost 100% of your problems. You can simply hide that error, that is in A errors with conditional formatting, and remember the if and a function if you want to do any calculations. So thanks very much for joining me for this video. And if you've enjoyed it, please remember to like and subscribe so that I can notify you of future upcoming tips. And